The main function of the kidneys is to cleanse the blood of toxins that accumulate in the body, and the most common kidney disease is urolithiasis. But, often, this valuable organ begins to fail, although the best treatment is, of course, prevention. In this video, I will tell you about those habits and mistakes in our lifestyle that are destructive to our kidneys. The kidneys are responsible for detoxifying our blood, and sometimes we don't even think about them until it's thundering. And many of our daily habits can be very damaging to them. For example, a very bad habit is holding back the urge to go to the bathroom when we have to endure a very long time not to go for a pee. The recommendation is here unequivocally: if you want to go to the toilet, go to the toilet right away, because if you for a very long time, it can lead to the development of kidney failure, and that leads to a general disorder of both water and electrolyte metabolism in the body. The next habit, which is very bad for the kidneys, is overeating protein. Many people do not even think about it, but in fact a lot of protein, it's not healthy. And I think it's all the more important because very often we hear from some nutritionalists or just some nutritionalists who like to recommend another weight loss diet that get rid of all the carbs, get rid of all the fats, eat protein, that's the healthiest thing. Well, it's very easy to overdo it with protein, is very easy, and protein is a huge strain on the liver and kidneys. Eating too much protein is dangerous because it is well known that proteins are excreted by the kidneys. Therefore, if we eat a lot of protein, too much, we increase the load on our organs. Among other things, this can be a factor in the development of urolithiasis. So with protein, please be careful. It used to be recommended to consume 23 grams of protein for every kilogram of your body weight. That is, if you weigh 60 kilograms, you supposedly had to eat 120–180 grams of protein per day. Now those recommendations have been lowered. Now you should eat 1 gram for every kilogram of your body weight. If you are engaged in sports, and intensely and a lot of sports, then you can eat 1.5 to 2 grams per day for each kilogram of your body weight. No more than that. You should not overeat protein. It will not do you any good and it will do you a lot of harm. The next thing that roughs up our kidneys is salt abuse. Of course, we all know very well that salt is white death, that salt is bad. Salt needs to be minimized. What the World Health Organization as a whole recommends consuming no more than 4 grams of salt. Better, of course, is less. Although, because of our lifestyle, it's probably difficult because salt is added literally everywhere. I've even got into the habit of never salting the food I cook. If I cook myself buckwheat, for example, I never salt it. If I cook my own chicken, I don't salt it. It may seem somehow uncomfortable at first. The fact that it's not salty food, it's kind of bland and doesn't taste good. Yes, I agree. At first, it really will feel like that. But the interesting thing is that literally after a week you get used to it and you just stop even thinking about it. And as soon as you get a little salt in your food, you instantly feel like it's already been oversalted. So it's like salt, just like sugar. In fact, we get used to it very quickly. A lot of salt thus we get used to salty. Little salt, we easily get used to little salt. I'm not even saying that salt has a negative impact not only on the kidneys but on the cardiovascular system, too. The next thing that is negative for our kidneys is neglecting our water drinking regimen. The kidneys need to drink water. The body needs to get enough water, not tea, coffee, beer, or juice, but water. And here you also need to keep a healthy balance. The next thing that is destructive to our kidneys is the cold. The kidneys really don't like the cold, so it's dangerous to sit cold and wet. It is dangerous to be outside in the cold for long periods of time. And it is also dangerous to be in cold water. Also, overuse of painkillers can have a negative effect on the kidneys. They are especially not recommended to people who already have kidney disease, because synthetic drugs have a very negative effect on the kidneys and other organs, too, and too prolonged abuse can lead to kidney failure. I think it's obvious to everyone that alcohol has a negative effect on the kidneys. If I didn't say that in this video, you would have asked in the comments, why didn't I tell you about alcohol? So that's the plain truth I'm going to say. I think it's clear to everybody, but interestingly enough, smoking also has a negative effect on the kidneys, not just the lungs, but the kidneys as well. And, according to many doctors, smoking is almost the first place in the degree of harmful effects on the kidneys. Since kidneys are engaged in the removal of toxins from the blood, it is smoking that creates an increased load on the kidneys. Also, excessive abuse of coffee. But it's worth mentioning that it's not just coffee, but caffeine in general, and it can also be found in strong tea, especially green tea. There is more caffeine in green tea than in black tea. In fact, strong green tea has about as much caffeine as coffee, and also cocoa beans and some other preparations contain caffeine and, of course, excessive caffeine is an increased burden on our kidneys. A sedentary lifestyle. Oddly enough, exercise has a positive effect not only on the cardiovascular system but also on the kidneys, too, because the lack of physical activity inevitably leads to blood stasis, which has a negative effect, whereas all physical activity improves the blood supply of the internal organs and the overall health of the body. Thank you for your likes, comments, and subscriptions. You will find a lot more useful information below the video. All the best to you.